Welcome back to America's Forum on Newsmax TV. I'm J.D. Hayworth, and as you can see, Andy Tillis, our Newsmax correspondent, is back with us. Andy,
good to be
good
here,
to have
JD.
you here. Yes, indeed. An interesting story developing as prominent members of the Obama administration, including the First Lady, have been forced to cancel planned speeches in America's heartland. Take a look at what transpired. As a matter of fact, in the episode involving the First Lady, a high school student circulated a petition opposing Michelle Obama's scheduled graduation speech. So, with that in mind and what happened with the Attorney General and a planned appearance at Oklahoma City, is there fatigue within the Democratic Party, as well as the nation at large, surrounding the president and his popularity? Andrew Malcolm of InvestorsBusinessDaily.com had this to say: Obama's credibility still suffers from his misbegotten serial untruths about Obamacare and likely overexposure. The more he speaks, it seems, the less people listen, even in his select crowds of the faithful. I just mentioned Attorney General Eric Holder was scheduled to speak to a graduating class of Oklahoma City police cadets. He explained that Holder had a Washington meeting that went long and just couldn't get there. Well, whatever logistically is going on here, we need to visit with two gentlemen who understand communications. Joining us on the set, Justin Sayfie, the communications director to former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, and via Skype, Joe Lestingi, a political strategist on the Democratic side of things. Gentlemen, we welcome you both to America's Forum.
Great to be here.
Now, I got to tell you, and it's great to have you both. Justin, I've been through a situation when a president, regardless of party, 6 years in, they talk about a 7-year itch in marriage, but 6 years in, just prior to the midterms, whomever is president often has an uphill battle. What do you think is weighing so heavily on the Obama unappeal, if we can call it that?
Well, I would agree with you that this is true. This phenomenon would be true of any president, 6 years in, of any politician for that matter. And I think that for President Obama, it's happening to him just like it's happened to other presidents. But it is true that he has had an abysmal failure with Obamacare, not just from a policy perspective, but from a communications perspective. And where the numbers really went south on him was last fall when he admitted that people were going to not be able to pick their own doctors after he promised them over and over in their plans, over and over and over again, they're going to be able to keep their doctors, they're going to be able to keep their plans, and his personal credibility suffered dramatically as a result of that.
Joe, let's get to that. From your perspective, sir, Obamacare, especially in this midterm for Democrats, are they just going to have to love it because they have no choice? Or what would your advice be trying to, I guess for lack of it, run away from Obamacare?
Well, I've been advising our clients that we don't want to run away from Obamacare. Obamacare is every policy that's in Obamacare is very popular, believe it or not. The policies themselves are very popular. There is a lot of sort of adjustments since the program started. People are starting to get into it. But now since we've hit the deadline, we've hit our goal. We are up at almost 9 million people signed up. The program is proving to be a bit of a success. So come November and October, I think it's going to be a positive for Democrats. A lot of people are happy with their coverage right now.
All right, Joe, we appreciate that. Now another factor in this equation, and we should stress that we're not the media, we're Newsmax, but a lot of us on the right side of things, as we say, we take a look at media coverage and we go, gee, it's as if the dominant media culture has weighed in repeatedly for the president. It's interesting, Michael Goodwin in the New York Post writes that the media could be turning on Obama. His column this weekend says liberal news organizations and leading Democrats in and out of office have to come to grips with their own failure. So it's interesting to see that column. And then we think about the stand of the Democrat National Committee. And we heard from our good friend, the chairwoman, the member of Congress from South Florida, oh, no, this election is not going to be a referendum on President Obama. I don't see how you avoid that.
You're not going to be able to avoid it. Look, there's so much going on in Washington and all these elections that are taking place across the country. Of course, the chair of the Democratic National Committee doesn't want this election to be nationalized because we saw what happened in 2010 when the election was nationalized. The Democrats lost 60 seats in the House of Representatives and lost 7 seats in the U.S. Senate. So that's what they're going to be doing. That's going to be the Democratic strategy. And I think for Republicans, they are going to try to reclaim the U.S. Senate by nationalizing this election.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe, what do you tell your clients? They just got to go out and say, no, 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 this is about the job I'm doing or the job I want to do in elective office. Pay no attention to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Well, I think you guys are absolutely correct. The goal of the Republican Party is to nationalize this election, and the goal of the Democratic Party is to make it about local issues. And that's going to be a defining characteristic for the campaign cycle this year. I think the more Democrats make this about local issues, about how people are getting more coverage in the states that have exchanges, and that healthcare is more available, and that there are real local issues that affect everyday lives. The beauty of these midterm elections is that there is no national ticket, and Republicans will try to make it about national issues, and the Democrats are going to try to make it about local issues because we think the individual policies do matter.
But Joe, wouldn't you say that Obama's actually failing on both fronts, international and national?
No, I don't think I would say that at all. I think his record on foreign policy has been very strong. This presidency is defined by the economic turnaround we've seen since the beginning of the administration. President Bush, when he came in, had a tragedy happen at the very beginning of the administration, which set the tone. President Obama had the opposite situation, where we had an economic domestic issue. The economy is improving, voters are happy with that, and that's what's going to reflect, in the end, his legacy. Foreign policy is something that is often debated well after a president has already left office, and I think it's going to look good for him.
Well, we appreciate that, Joe, and I got to tell you, and maybe you noticed this, Justin, the blame Bush wasn't there. It was citing 9/11 as a national tragedy, and then the economy. So I got to give Joe high marks in terms of diplomacy on midterm pre-election.
He resisted
rhetoric.
the temptation, didn't he?
But it for whatever reason, it still works. It's always good, Joe. This good give and take. Before we go, a question about your old boss, Jeb Bush. Is he or isn't he? Is he going to run for president?
You know, I don't know, and I don't think he knows, and trying to put odds on it is an impossible game, but he has said publicly that he'll make that decision by the end of this year. Many of us are hopeful that he will run, but time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, Justin Sayfie, we appreciate your perspective as the former communications director to President Bush. Joe Lestingi, my man, it's great to have you. Diplomacy from a Democrat consultant. I like it. Now, thanks a bunch. We look forward to having you back again, and of course, always to Andy Tillis here weighing in as well. So, where do you stand on all this? What do you think's going to happen in the midterms? What about the president's appeal? Why don't you let us know via Twitter, as you can tweet us your remarks at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum. Of course, there's also email and Facebook. Stay with us. We're coming back.